Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining this call and taking some time out from your busy day to listen to me. What I hope to accomplish today is to give you some ideas as to some of the new possibilities that are opening up as a result of a really interesting collaboration that's taking place between SAP and Cisco and a company called Vnomic. And really, what it's all about is when we're out there talking to our customers about reimagining for the digital economy, the message that we're giving them is that the digital economy is all about data, front and center stage. It's about getting data, analyzing that data, and based on that analysis, turning that information into action that delivers some or other new outcomes. So we get out there and we talk to our customers about reimagining how they work, reimagining what their processes look like, and reimagining their entire business models. All of that requires data, and increasingly the challenge for our customers is managing these massive amounts of data that we are creating on a daily basis is becoming quite difficult. It's becoming quite costly, and in some senses it's becoming quite risky. So what SAP and Cisco are all about is saying, how can we solve this big challenge for our customers and help them to embrace the digital economy faster so that they remain relevant, they remain able to create value, and they remain viable organizations. So what we've done is between SAP and Cisco, we set up something called Project Benjamin. And obviously, the Benjamin comes from the fact that Benjamin Franklin's face is on the US dollar, but it doesn't particularly matter whether you're in South Africa or Nigeria or Kenya or whatever your currency looks like. The idea here is, how do we help our customers to more quickly drive out their own IoT and big data projects so that they can create and capture value? And obviously, if we get that right, they do that with us, and we in turn create and capture value for both of our organizations. So at the end of the day, this is about finding new opportunities to engage with our customers in ways that you might not be thinking about today if you're still stuck in an ERP paradigm. I want to talk a little bit about Cisco themselves as an organization and why it's a really exciting partnership. Firstly, Cisco is an SAP customer, and a really interesting one, because unlike most of our customers, they did not start off with us as an ERP user or a supply chain user. They historically have used our competitive products like Oracle and Salesforce to run their business. But the big challenge they were faced with is getting the data out of these systems and into a format and at a speed that makes it useful to the leadership of Cisco. Bearing in mind, Cisco is a $49 billion enterprise, so it's a huge organization. It's very complex. It's in a very competitive ecosystem, and it works with very fast-moving technology, which can almost go obsolete overnight. So they really do need transparency and visibility of everything that's going on in their organization. And before HANA, they were trying to do this with hundreds of spreadsheets and point solutions scattered around the business and kind of going nowhere. So what they've now done is they've deployed SAP HANA, obviously on Cisco Kit. Using our business objects tools, they're now able to deliver really, really powerful dashboard to the leadership of this organization, where they quite literally have now have their fingers on the pulse of this business every minute of the day, and they can understand deeply where the business is coming from, what the issues are, and what they need to be doing to make the next best decision. And the gratifying thing about that is they're now moving into, using even more advanced analytics from SAP. So using things like our predictive capabilities built in R to really do deep statistical analysis on their data, which then informs what marketing and sales and other activities they need to take. So, Cisco as a customer, we've helped them to become a much more real-time organization. And now we're working with them to take these capabilities to our mutual customers. And when I talk about mutual customers, what's really great in my mind about this partnership, especially if you're in sales, is that 90% of SAP's customers also use Cisco. But there's really no competition or overlap between what Cisco provides and SAP provides. So unlike in some of our other partnerships where things can get a little bit messy because we're not quite sure whether we're competing or cooperating or collaborating, here this is a straight up collaboration. There's no overlap. Together, there's massive amounts of synergy that we can lift out of our mutual work and take to our customers. And we've got some proven examples of that. So many of you will have heard me talk about the Hamburg Port Authority. It's a really great case study. It talks to Internet of Things. It talks to a big data project. It talks to a multi-partite approach to solving a really complex problem in the world. And we did this project together with Cisco and T-Systems. And by working together, we were able to bring data in from many different sources, marry that data up, do analysis, and then communicate the results of that back to a wide variety of players. So the port operations themselves, the truckers who are coming in and out of the port, and many other players. And effectively what we've done, simply by working together to marry information and use it better, is we've doubled the cargo handling capacity of the Port of Hamburg without needing to build any new physical capabilities. No new wharfs, no new berths, no new straddle carriers. Simply better synchronizing everybody's activities has enabled us to do this. There's also a really nice spin-off for the citizens of Hamburg and for the environment, and that is that we've taken out 5,000 hours per day of truck idle time. Now just imagine that. That's 5,000 hours of diesel fumes that are no longer getting pumped into the atmosphere around the city. That's great for the citizens. It's great for the truck operators because that's all fuel saved. And it just illustrates that when you use information, you can have some really profound impacts on the world. So that's kind of sets the stage for this collaboration that SAP and Cisco have been working on. We know, as you do as salespeople, that big data and the Internet of Things are priorities in many, many organizations, not just in 2016, but going out over the next couple of years as we wire up more and more of the planet, whether that's in the context of a smart city, a smart bank, a smart car, a smart home. It doesn't particularly matter, but we're going to be faced with the problem of processing all of this data and getting value out of it. And when you look at what SAP and Cisco each bring to the table, it really is exciting because SAP brings to the table all of the tools to compute with that data. So we can analyze it, we can bake it into processes, we can create new business models, we can expose it to the world in the form of really cool mobile front ends or through APIs so that somebody else can use it. On the other side of the coin, Cisco brings to the table a massive set of experience and great tools and technologies for gathering the information, bringing it into a network, bringing it onto a computing platform, storing it, and so forth. So together, when we put our heads around the table, we can create some really new, exciting new capabilities for our customers and for our other partners as well. And I'll come back to that in a moment. So given that IoT and big data are CIO priorities this year, what we've done is we've been running this thing called Project Benjamin. And the idea of Project Benjamin is really quite simple. It's to address the big hairy challenge of making IoT projects and big data projects easier for our customers to do. Easier, more cost effective, quicker, and less risky. And if we can get those things right, then very obviously the customer's appetite to do these kind of projects in the first place goes up because they don't look at them and see them as this really scary project that they're about to embark on, but they see it as something that can be well managed and therefore will have a more viable outcome. Now that presents some challenges, and I want to deal with those on the next couple of slides. The first thing is if you look at what business wants, it's very obvious excuse me, that any business out there today wants to be able to do things quickly. They see an opportunity in the market, they want to be able to scale up, seize that opportunity, monetize that opportunity, and then move on to the next big thing. Given that most of these things are contingent on data and information systems, they then need their IT organizations, whether that's in-house or an external provider, to do this at the same speed. But that's often not what's happening today. If you look at what IT would like to do, is they'd like to be able to listen to what the business is doing, even drive the business to do new things by showing them what the art of the possible is, and then press one button kind of thing and have the system up and running safely, securely, fast, and delivering the business value that the organization's looking for. The reality, however, for pretty much every CIO or IT manager out there today is that this is really, really complicated. If you just think about deploying, for example, ECC6 into an organization, you have to think about how much storage do you need? Where do you want that storage to be? How many users are there going to be? How much data are you going to have to store? How are you going to deal with your test, dev, QA, and production environments? Where's your disaster recovery going to be? And then you start doing a project and you have to think about things like regression testing and stress testing and taking on all of the data and making sure we brought the right data into the new system. And as you know, that gets very, very complicated very, very quickly. It needs a lot of people, and a lot of people are typically associated with a lot of cost. A lot of people are also typically associated with a lot of errors creeping into the system because we are only humans and we do take our eyes off the ball at crucial moments. So all in all, this is the problem that SAP and Cisco are solving. This picture here transcribes into this problem statement here. And I'm not going to unpack this problem statement in detail, but the reality for us at SAP and equally for Cisco is that because these things are difficult, the customer adoption rate is much, much slower, and it's at a much lower scale than we would like it to be, and indeed than our customers would like it to be, because it's only really when you scale up and scale out that you start to see the full impact of these projects on your P&L and your balance sheet. So we put Project Benjamin together to look at this problem statement and figure out how can we solve it. Now, SAP obviously has had a lot of experience in IT, and when we first launched the HANA system, SAP HANA, we launched it as an appliance because we knew back then in 2011 when we launched that the simpler we could make it for our customers to get their hands on a pre-configured appliance ready for the workload of BW or whatever it is they were going to do, the easier it would be for them to adopt it. So the appliance approach, which is still valid and will be going forward, allowed our customers to adopt HANA in a fairly easy fashion. However, as we've moved forward and we're bringing more and more workloads onto the HANA platform and we're doing more collaboration and we're doing more innovation, a simple appliance approach doesn't hold anymore. And more of our customers now are starting to move towards the notion of tailored data center infrastructures where using things like virtualization, storage, software-defined networks, and so forth, they're able to build a much more flexible architecture that supports a multiplicity of workloads and supports them as they scale those workloads up and down according to the business cycle. So now we've gone from being easy to having flexibility, but that is not necessarily easy because there's a lot more moving parts to manage. So we're kind of back to square one, that first picture I put up 2 slides ago. Now, what Cisco brings to the table that helps already in this is their unified computing system, which essentially is all about bringing together compute, storage, and network into a cohesive physical system. So that goes some way towards solving the problems of building these systems. And then further, you add Cisco's application-centric infrastructure, which is their software-defined methodology for configuring these environments, and you're starting to get closer to solving the problem. But you're still not completely there because there's a gap between the requirements generated by the SAP solutions you're trying to run and the systems that you need to configure to run them on. And that's where the company Vnomic comes into the picture. Vnomic is one of the SAP startups. It comes out of the SAP Startup Focus program. It has a very specific goal in life, and that is to make it much easier for our customers to deploy their HANA solutions. And what Vnomics is all about is basically building a set of tools that allow them, in using very simple and elegant modeling techniques, to describe all of the components, all of the services that are required to run an SAP solution, what the interrelationships are between these components and services, so that they can build an infrastructure independent application service model. And once you have that, then you can start to define the deployment topologies that are required for that service model. And once you have that, it's a short step into Cisco's application-centric infrastructure to actually deploy or provision the underlying systems. So the three companies together, SAP, Vnomic, and Cisco, provide a very, very elegant solution to the idea of building robust stacks for the technology that's required to run, say, a big data or an IoT and a big data environment. And the promise to our customers basically is that we get them to a point where they can deploy SAP applications with a single click, very, very simply. And the beauty of this is that it's not just about deploying with a single click, so reducing the total cost of acquisition, but it's also about reducing the total cost of operations, because once we have these models in place, we can monitor against the model and we can understand how the system is being used over time and whether it's being properly governed, and we have full audit trails and so forth. So the overall life cycle of a system becomes much, much easier to manage. So in a nutshell, the Project Benjamin effectively brings the three companies together, SAP, Vnomic, and Cisco, around SAP HANA, around Cisco's UCS and ACI, and around this set of Vnomic's modeling tools, and allows us to build systems really, really fast, which means a customer who is looking at a return on investment and obviously a payback period can get to that payback period much more quickly, can get that return on investment happening much more quickly. And that obviously strengthens any business case that we put on the table for an IoT or big data project. So effectively where we are today is we've come from the simplicity and ease of an appliance, which lacks flexibility, through the flexible notion of a tailored data center infrastructure, which has complexity in it, to this policy-driven tailored data center infrastructure, which combines the beauty of ease, flexibility, and security through governance and auditability. And really, we're the only folks out there that are able to offer that combination today. What's important to understand is the value proposition of this Project Benjamin outcome is that it applies to our customers, whether they choose to do their projects on-prem or in the cloud, and it equally applies to our other partners that are out there. So the likes of the Dimension Datas and the telecoms who are building SAP HEC environments can use the same technology, and indeed are. And we know too that, for example, Deloitte, who are building their own HANA lab, are doing that in conjunction with DiData on the Cisco kit in the DiData data center. So what you start to see here as a salesperson is that you have a lot of power behind you. You have SAP, you have Cisco, you have DD, and you will have many others that are helping you to solve the customer's problems. And I really urge you to use these capabilities to help you build your pipeline. And staying with the theme of partnering, what we're going to find quite often when we tackle these IoT projects is that there will be other partners that will play a hugely important role in a particular project or within a particular industry, as the case may be. So for one of the first POCs we built on this Project Benjamin derived architecture was a project we did with a company called SK Solutions, who specialize in solutions in the construction industry, and in particular with proximity sensors on construction cranes. We worked with them to build a solution for the construction industry that prevents cranes from crashing into each other. And basically what they brought their IP and their proximity sensors to the table. We bought HANA. We bought some of our edge technologies to talk to the cranes. We bought our analytics and visualization, and we built some really cool mobile apps for the construction site workers and the operations people. And Cisco brought all of their good stuff in terms of their fog computing, or the stuff they have for getting the data from the edge into the HANA environment in the cloud. So what it looks like effectively is this. So you've got the cranes sitting out there with all of these sensors on them, which are creating information. It's all geo-tagged, quite obviously, because you can't track whether the thing's about to bang into each other unless you have that geospatial component. That data comes off these cranes through the Cisco fog infrastructure and into SAP HANA through our edge connectors. We then have it in the HANA Cloud Platform. We apply our analytics, and we send the results back out to the world through things like the embedded asteroid tablet that sits in the control room of the crane itself, in the cabin that the crane operator sits in, or an operations console for the site manager. Now, why is this important? Because you probably don't see cranes bashing into each other every day, but it's actually a very high value problem that we're solving here. Because if cranes do collide, there are almost inevitably fatalities. And even if there aren't fatalities, there can be an awful lot of damage done, not just to the crane, but to the building site itself. And whenever an incident of that nature occurs, you have the site gets shut down. There's typically a board of inquiry, an investigation, recommendations, all of which takes time. So for the construction company, they can open themselves up to really big penalties if this kind of thing happens, because they fail to deliver the building that they're engaged with, or the project on time, and they pay late delivery penalties. So effectively what you've got as a result of this project is you've got the guy on the crane, or the lady driving the crane has this dashboard that shows them. If you look very closely here, you can see how the boom of each crane is mapped here, so they can see the radius of those cranes, and they can immediately get a visual picture of where there's a problem looming. Because we can apply algorithms to this data, we can actually stop these things and prevent them from bumping into each other. The same data that comes off the crane can go back to the crane manufacturers, so they can understand how well the cranes are performing, and that might lead to some design changes or some advice back to the construction site saying, hey, you're lifting too much with too much of an extension on your boom, or whatever the case might be. And then from a productivity point of view, the construction operator, the construction company, gets dashboards that, for example, show them the productivity of each crane, how many hours it's worked, how many tons it's lifted, and so forth. So lots of very useful information serving different audiences coming off these cranes and being facilitated by this great combination of SAP, Cisco, and this Vnomic engine that's helping us to configure all of that. Bill talked to this hand earlier this year at FCOM. I think it really nicely depicts what we're trying to get done. And as two organizations, SAP and Cisco, working together to help our customers do their Internet of Things projects, do their big data projects, and become fully equipped for the digital economy that is coming at us at a helter-skelter pace. It's all there. And all you need to do now is go out there and make it happen. Thanks very much for listening. If you have any questions about what you've heard here today, you want to find out more, by all means, drop me an email or give me a call. And if I can't answer, I'll tap you into the folks that can. And certainly I've found